Good morning, members. Today is October 11th, 2025. It's about 7:45 a.m. as I do this market recap and market look ahead. Well, for those of you that aren't members and watching this after we release them, warning, stock market crash is here and the bull and bear battle ensues. And so we're going to look at how we traded, what our analysis is, and what to look forward to. There's a lot happening along with the stock market, the silver market, the gold market, and the crypto market. And hopefully we will be able to tie everything in so that you can make a informed decision in your trading. Hopefully this will help. So let's do this. Here's the disclaimer for those of you out in the X and the YouTube universe. Pause it and read it. If you agree, please move forward. Okay, so, and of course, those of you that aren't members but still want to subscribe to X.com, follow me there or at YouTube. We have great content, and in moments like this, a lot of you guys wish you were following us or a member of our Galaxy community. All right, so we talked about this, and this was a chart from last week, and I said blow-off top formation is happening, and silver and gold is warning because of their rather exuberant price movement. And I've always said that silver is the most suppressed asset in the world, and the movement in silver was warning that there was something going on with the market, despite the fact that it was making weekly and daily highs in a blow-off top fashion, and that's exactly what that was. It was a blow-off top fashion, but it wasn't without warning, right? There were warning signs. We talked about the leading indicator economic index and coincident economic index was warning that there is a financial crisis headed our way, coincident with basically a blow-off top market that and climax top that was forming. And did it ever form? Because after this is how we ended on Friday. And I've always said that when we hit these upper trend lines, a financial crisis or a stock market crash happens. The only times that it didn't was during the COVID crash of 2020, but still there were signs and symptoms of that the market was overheated. And so here we are, we got the red candle. So for those of you that are going to be asking, well, I mean, is this going to be a one-off event? And are we just going to get rescued in a V formation again? And I will say that this is a major top, and that little candle is going to start growing into other major candles on a monthly basis. And this is just getting started. October is historically a month where financial crisis and stock market crashes occur, and we are still in those Jewish holidays and those feast holidays. We talked about Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur ushering in stock market volatility, and of course October. And there's a lot of news going on, and hopefully we can filter that for you. But this is just the beginning. Now, it doesn't mean there's not going to be any rips during the week, rescue attempts. This is a highly managed market. If you think that we have market in the stock market system or any other market system, it is managed by the central banks, in our case, the Federal Reserve Bank, which is not a branch of our United States government. Okay, they are a private bank. Just wanted to throw that in there. And they are the reason for all of these dislocations that you have felt. And for those of you that were uber bullish and, I don't know, not listening to the warning signs or not analyzing the market correctly, you got your butts handed to you. Okay? Now, like I said, we've been warning you, and there were obvious signals about the impending market blow-off top and correction and crash starting. And so we're going to go over that, but also we're going to provide what's coming next. What are our targets on the SPY, right? I don't really use QQQ or the NASDAQ, partly because it eliminates a lot of the financial markets, which has been propped up by the central banks, and those are the ones that are going to be leading the way down. Last week's video, we talked about systemic contagion risk that was rearing its ugly head from Tricolor Chapter 7 bankruptcy and First Brands, and that is just the beginning. However, the conflict of interest and the scam that was involved in it is the same type of scam that was being run in 2008 financial crisis, where they are tranching in into AAA bonds, and the rating agencies look the other way as they stuff dog crap inside those AAA bonds that would not even qualify as a triple F bonds. Okay, triple F bonds don't exist. That's just my own saying. Now, we want to talk about what's been going on, and there were clear market top signs, and I commented on this on the Kobeisi letter, and really, and this is something that we've been monitoring as well, that the investors, retail, that's those of you looking on the X.com and YouTube sphere have been buying up the 0-day options, got punch drunk on it. You guys are just gambling and piling into options, call options. I mean, it averaged over 40 million contracts a day, and that usually is a contrarian indicator because remember, we are considered the dumb money, right? So you got to play the rules of the establishment. You do know that most of the Congress and senators, including Nancy Pelosi, are all in cash. Think about that. You don't think that they're trading on information that you and I are not privy to? Okay? That's insider trading, but they will never ever get held responsible for that. Okay, so I say retail 0-day expiration, short duration call options at 40 million per day. That's historical. That was the market top warning. This is what I posted last week, right? Big boys are selling into retail greed, and I've been saying that for about the last 2 months, right? And then, of course, from last week, again, there's divergences in the stock markets versus reality. Here's SPX, which is a cash index, just like the ES, versus job opening. If the stock market is an indicator of economic strength, as like President Trump would lead you to believe, then why are the job openings diminishing at a record rate? Why are people having 2 or 3 different jobs and still can't make ends meet? Okay, remember my mantra about the consumer demand destruction. Okay, that is real. Okay, it's like 2008 and 2000 all over again. That's what I said. And then, of course, last week, lovely black swan here. We talked about silver is breaking out. It was above 47.50. Well, beginning this week, we basically broke out 2 all-time highs. We hit 49.79. That was the all-time high on the derivatives. However, in the spot market, we have a process called backwardation going on, and it hit almost $52, and it closed the week at $50.77. I told you we're going to be finishing at 50 plus. Okay. Now, the issue with backwardation means that there is significant supply shocks and inability of COMEX and LBMA to deliver on their promises to deliver physicals. Okay. When you slam over $1.3 billion, not billion, ounces of silver per day in an effort to suppress and rig prices, okay, to keep silver down, because silver is the kryptonite to the banks. Okay, this is what's going to happen. The short squeeze in the futures market, in the spot market, okay, once the supply shock is realized, it may happen next week. It's going to be epic, okay? I said silver target from this video, the chart from last week, 50 plus next week. And I said 10-year yield is wrong way, going the wrong way and rising. Look at the US dollar. Those are the warning signs, and hopefully you all heeded it. So, what's going on now? Well, we talked about on October 4th, and I posted this from last week, that the U.S. banks were sitting on $395 billion in unrealized losses, and that's because they're holding the 10-year bonds. Okay, the Federal Reserve Bank does not care about the stock market. They only care about the ability to perpetuate this print the money out of thin air mantra, and so all the banks are holding these 10-year treasury bonds that they're basically issuing with the money they printed out of thin air. How did a private bank that is not branch of the U.S. government get the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank? It's a private for-profit bank. Usurp the power to control interest rates and money supply and issue debt? I don't know. I thought that was the job of the Treasury, but this is the problem. U.S. banks are holding toxic asset. Was a warning sign again that was going to be leading to this blow-off top debacle that occurred on Friday, and it's just getting started. Okay, now, on October 4th again, we talked about this UBS. Okay, UBS is not the only one. This is a systematic contagion, okay, into the First Brands group. okay, which is an auto supplier group. Again, they were lying about their financial health. And what do you think happens when you don't fix the problems from the financial crisis in 2008? It's going to rear its ugly head, but the systemic contagion is going to be epic. It's not just First Brands or Tricolor. It's going to be spreading into other areas as well. And most of the banks are bankrupt at this point. This is the tip of the iceberg, right? And then, so we are in day 10 of what they call the Trump shutdown. But you know what? I don't like any politicians on either side, and especially politicians like him that come out and is holier than thou. And they basically sit there and jawbone instead of doing anything useful because they've never really had real jobs in their lives. And they just come out and spew BS and then make you believe and basically misinformation. And then they call, if you disagree with them, they call that misinformation. Republicans and Democrats alike are basically the problem with our world right now. Okay. The fact is, U.S. government is bankrupt because of politicians like this guy. Okay. I don't know. I mean, it's just, yeah, they make me sick, every one of these people. Okay. It's not about the Affordable Care Act. Stop printing money we don't have. Go into sound money system. Okay, abolish and downsize the government, and then stop spewing nonsense and go get a real job. Okay, so Coastal Journal posted this, and Fed Waller says private credit includes a lot of equity, and it's not highly leveraged, but that's not true. You know, the Federal Reserve Bank is the one pumping liquidity, creating debt, and probably rigging, not probably, but they are rigging the stock market system. They're rigging the, you know, with their collection of banks, which I call the Silver Slam Crew, precious metals market, because precious metals, including silver, especially silver, is the kryptonite to banks. So as our asset liquidity is dwindling, the rate at which the banks are tapping that discount window, which is a sign of stress. Okay. Okay. If the banks are healthy, they would not be tapping the discount window. Okay. So when the banks increase the usage of discount windows, it's indicative of stress. And then the Federal Reserve Bank tells you, this guy right here. Okay. Okay. I mean, yeah, the Federal Reserve has a lot of credibility anymore, right? Telling lies of state of liquidity of the Fed or by the Fed, okay? So, how is this going to end? Well, here's the other thing, is that there's been, you know, usually silver was shipped via ship, you know, boats across the pond. You know, this is how they rig the silver prices. Silver leaves COMEX, fight back and forth, and then they basically print a bunch of paper shorts to the tune of, I think it's over like 8.7 billion ounces of silver that's been shorted. Don't check me on that number. It is an estimate. While the London spot price was blowing out, that's a sign of liquidity issues, okay? So silver backwardation means, again, the spot price, when you go into a dealer, their spot price is at $50.75 plus about $6.50 to $7 in premiums that you're going to pay. Pretty soon, it may be 50% of the spot price is going to be a premium. That's backwardation because the futures price is right now, what, $47.65 or 55 cents? Okay, that is a sign of liquidity stress. Mind you, the sell-off that occurred as we hit all-time highs and as we blew through on the spot, 51.75, almost 52, okay, is not Silver Slam Crew action. That is basically margin calls being met, and they are selling everything, baby out with the bathwater. They're selling any asset classes that they have, puts, calls, futures, whatever they have to meet that cash margin demands, and that will continue. And this is what the right now currently creating this suppression prices, but that is because of liquidity. Once that is realized, and then once the supply shock hits, silver is going to go straight up. You know, my target 68 to 82 by October 28th, maybe even higher. Okay, right? If you consider that if it reverts to normal 10-to-1 ratio, and you know, gold still is around like right under 4,100, right? It means that the silver at that 10-to-1 ratio should be trading at $400, right? It's not going to happen because there's so much rigory going on. This is the sign This is the sign that basically that they are basically having to now fly out, okay, in emergency because LBMA is having supply shocks and there's supply shocks at CME. Neither of them are going to be able to deliver. My guesstimation is like, somewhere between 5 to 9 billion ounces of silver. I mean, everybody wants it in physicals. In the meantime, sources close to me, this is JFK Airport. Okay, all of these right here are basically in black. This is being flown into an airplane headed to London. These are silver. They ship it back and forth. They used to do it by boat, but now because of the supply shock, they're trying to fly it back and forth. This is not going to end well, folks. Silver is being flown out of JFK to London to meet their liquidity crisis, and then they ship it right back. Okay, this is basically channel stuffing at best by retail. But just fraud. This is absolute fraud, and this is going to end up in an epic failure, probably as early as next week. Stock market crashing, beginning to crash. The crash really hasn't gotten started. It's the signs and symptoms of all the banking stress system emerging. Okay, so banksters, aka Silver Slam Crew, are skating on thin ice with no skates. We talked about this. This is an old playbook. This is from, a while back. It's not working. The suppression of silver prices are now leading to shortages, backwardation, and now they're resorting to flying out tons and tons of silver in order to keep the rig job alive, but it's failing. Okay, I mean, they've basically suppressed with paper shorts, in my estimation, about 9 billion ounces of silver, and they could only suppress it down to 47. But what I said was, it's not really the Silver Slam Crew action. It is the margin calls that are causing it caused that rapid sell-off. When it hit 50, I told you, margin calls are going to go out, and that's the effect that we had. Now they're flying out silver by airplanes. Okay? So we've been warning for weeks that market divergences and conditions was critical, and it was ripe for a pullback and a crash. And so here we got it, man. We basically eliminated the whole month's worth of rig job hire in one day. Okay, and if you think that the buyers are going to step in right here, and there will be dip buyers going, oh no, it always rises. They're going to pop it, and then it's going to continue to drop. And the drop as it accelerates is going to be epic. Okay, now how did you trade? Did you get your ass handed to you? Oh, I'm asking the X.com. Our members in our group had probably one of the best weeks in our group. Okay, and because we knew what was going to happen and we were prepared. Okay, so this is ES and this is NQ. We've been warning about this, folks. Okay. Tricolor Chapter 7 was a warning. Okay, systemic contagion. Okay, and what does that systemic contagion look like? It's spreading to banks right now. This is, right here, Regions Bank, right? Regions Bank, basically, it's a zero. Deutsche Bank, Comerica, Bank of Oklahoma. Should I go on? They all suck. Okay, JP Morgan Chase will be the last one. Keep an eye on the banks. Carvana. Okay, First Brands, tobacco, and Tricolor tobacco, double whammy. Okay, they held up. KMX was falling off the cliff, and now we finally, on Friday, had one of these type of thing last week, right? Okay, so yeah, and we have positions on these. All right, if you want to find out how to trade like this, then you have to join our group, right? All right, and then VIX woke up, had positions on VIX. Did you guys have VIX calls? I've been talking about VIX ad nauseum. This is just getting started. It's probably making a bull flag. We'll probably chop here and then move higher. Okay. If you don't think that VIX could get up to about 45 to 70, you're smoking something good. Okay. This is pent-up volatility about to be unleashed. They're going to release the Kraken. How are we rocking at the Galaxy community? Okay, so, you want some proof. This is basically our membership group, and I just got to put it right here. This is our elite group, obviously. We have various tiers. Essentials, basically, you get, my market commentary, pivot levels, any of the commentary that might come. I'll give some hints about what we should be doing. But it's a community that's geared towards learning. We have our watch list, chart analysis, and it's just a vibrant community, all for $49 a month. The elite group is obviously a more of a mentorship group, and basically what we do is, when I place trades, it goes out. So on Thursday, okay, when this was printed, we took 1013 and 1014 ES 6700 puts. Okay, we did over 100x, and we still have positions. Okay, so even if those go south because they rescue or whatever, we've already made a ton of money, right? We've been calling out. I said big crash is coming. I've been warning. Are you getting these type of information? So we started shorting a firm right here because of the tricolor bankruptcy and systemic contagion. Okay, I said, 1013, 1014 ES 6700 puts 2 days ago. Okay, we've been loading up when it was cheap, cheap, cheap. You don't buy options when they become expensive, folks. All right. VIX calls November 19th. That's what we have. Okay, is it too late to get into it? No, but they're super expensive. We're already loaded up. So, I mean, it's like, I'm trying to help the public at this point, right? Anyways, that's it. I said, look, you know what? Don't get scared of these pump. We're near the top. This is the last slam of the silver calls. Buy the silver calls. Go buy physicals. You know the whole 9 yards. Go buy XRP when it gets cheap. Speaking of XRP, okay, that's what we've been doing, right? So the rate cuts have had an opposite effect. Big problems are coming. This was from last week. The US dollar and TNX was warning us about a crash, and then boom, this is the result. The Federal Reserve Bank wants to save the bonds, okay? And they're going to sacrifice the stock market. But Trump wants the stock market to be high. But with his recent announcement of tariffs, and it's all BS, it's all dog and pony show. It doesn't even matter what the media tries to attribute to it. But it's because we've been printing money to oblivion, and that system is now dying, okay? We're above the inflection point 97.995, but we can't get above the par of 100. Okay, and so there's systemic weaknesses. Remember, as I've always said, it is a race to zero in terms of currency. Okay, they will always defend the bond and the U.S. dollar, and this is what this is all about. And the stock market crash is just getting started. However, it's going to be tricky. In a market crash, both bears and the bulls, if they don't know what they're doing, they're both going to get hurt because of these rips that you need to be able to time. Okay. All right, let's look at some charts real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. And of course, last week we talked about my McClellan summation index, and I said we're going to be petering out, and boy, did we ever turn over. This is just getting started, folks. Okay, we just got off of the oversold conditions, and we're coming right up in it, and that's just getting started. It means there's a big, huge leg down, and in fact, this volatility zone, as McClellan Summation Index enters, is going to be between, I believe we're probably going to open below 640, right? Maybe 650, but probably go below 635. I think we're going to sell off. There probably will be a pop in the morning on Monday. Okay, rescue attempt. I think we're going to go all the way down to about 480 eventually. Okay, if we get down here, it's going to be very scary. This is where we're going to look to maybe look for a bounce at that level. But MACD is curling over. Okay, the histogram is telling you that basically downside effect is happening. Of course, I said last week, I said, look, anytime put-to-call ratio gets this low, we're going to explode higher. We're going to get above these levels, much, much higher, okay? And when this gets extreme, then we're going to look for a bottom, okay? We already talked about this. Let's look at silver, okay? Look at, on the spot price, it's $50.01. We did hit 50 plus, did we not? And it's because Silver Slam Crew are not slamming. They're basically liquidating their futures. Let's go over that. They're liquidating their futures to meet demand, and the futures, this is the futures for gold, silver. These purple line and these levels are inflection points. This is not Silver Slam Crew action. Once they're liquidating and dealers start selling, we're going to go way past here, okay? 68 to 82 by October 28th, folks. I've been saying this. What a beautiful chart, okay? Especially if you've been bearish. You're hurting if you've been bullish, okay? This phase 4 alpha, we're beginning to break above, and as this gets vertical, we're going to start our phase 4, and that's when it's going to get parabolic, okay? Here's the silver cup and a handle, 45-year-old. This is just a handle part, right? We're at 50.01. We're about to break out of this cup and a handle. Okay, breakout occurs next week. Even though we're above 50, we're at historic all-time highs, but the breakout starts next week. I always said silver will not break out without the market crash, and here we got it. Okay, gold, same thing. Okay, we're now breaking above this phase 1. We're beginning to start the phase 2. Okay, and it's about as bullish as you're going to get. Okay, Sam Adams looks like very ripe for a short for next week. Okay, you see those candles? It's like a kind of a nice little bear flag. No, it's not forming a reverse head and shoulders. Okay, it's basically failing to break out at these levels. Carvana, all right, I told you. I said this was our #1 watch list. All the moving averages are curling down. We broke through the 80 MA. We're targeting down here in the 200 in the next week or so. Okay. Just saying, okay? Costco, okay? Costco's been holding up pretty nicely, which means that there's an opportunity. Retailers are that here's the head and shoulders. Keep an eye on this one continuously, okay? Meta, all right? Meta is still holding on, but we broke below all the 80 MAs. We're basically targeting the secondary level next week, possibly going down if it starts to accelerate significantly, right? So let's look at our SPY technical analysis. Let's go I'm just going to do a really quick weekly. All right, so here we are. We broke above this inflection point. We're sitting right on it. Guess what? All the smaller moving averages are coming down. RSI is coming lower. MACD is about to form a death cross. This is getting just started. Here's the 20 SMA. You don't think it's going to take out 631? I think we're targeting 597 to maybe 582 next week. You saw it here first, okay? And here's my last bit. Silver cup and a handle, 45-year-old cup and a handle. We are now breaking out of this cup, okay? This is a derivatives. Now you see how the spot and the derivative numbers are different? We're going to be taking out this 76 very, very shortly, okay? Remember, it's not a silver slam that's happening. It's basically the silver slam crew running for dear lives trying to raise cash and selling everything at this point, okay? And that selling will intensify, but at a certain point, spot and the futures are going to merge, and then it's going to start moving together. Okay, we already talked about this. Hunt Brothers, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a crap, okay? I said that as of the 10-3, breakout progressing as predicted. Yeah, a little price pullback. Now let's talk about XRP, shall we? Okay, so I said nobody wants it at 234, and when it pulled back, I don't think anybody got filled at $20, $35 because it was complete manipulation trying to shake everybody out, okay? And that this is the shakeout before the ETF goes live, okay? And the thing is, if you tell me that any other markets in the stock market, in the crypto market, in the precious metals market are not rigged, I got something to tell you. Okay, nobody really got filled here, even if you had a standing order to buy at $20. Okay, but guess what? We're near that 234, 240 level. Okay, this is a big, large tail candle. They're buying into this, folks. All right, this is a generational last chance to buy these. You buy them when nobody wants it. You buy them when people are scared. XRP will be providing liquidity as the global crisis continues, as the bank's contagion and liquidity crisis worsens. I just showed you the Federal Reserve's Fred charts. Okay, is anyone still listening? Okay, all right. So here's what we're watching. Okay, silver hit 50 plus on the spot. Derivatives section, future sections are getting slammed because they're getting margin calls. That's it. That's all it is. Go buy more, folks. Okay, it's hard to buy physicals right now. I'm still expecting 68 to 82 by October 28th. 10-year yield and dollar was warning. It's now being played out. XRP, XDC, WLFI, it's not a scam. Go get them. Manipulation and shakeout. Okay, that's all this is. Got silver, got gold. Supply shock is happening. It's hard to get physicals now. Okay, and you're going to be paying close to $60 now with premiums. Market crash has just started. It will not go down in a straight line. You got to know what to do. Come join my group. Okay, most of you know how to trade, so you just need the watch list and my commentaries. If you want that you don't get on X or YouTube, Come on, guys, it's $49. It's well worth it. Most of our Essentials members have made money hand over fist last week. All right, so anyways, follow me at Galaxy Doc Market. Follow us, like us, share us, and above all, comment on YouTube. And if you want to figure out a way to work with me, Coach Brandon at protonmail.com. I do individual consultations as well. Mentorship program is full. But we have 3 different tiers. But I think for most of you, Essentials is the way to go. Click on the description below. Otherwise, for our members, great job. We have a fantastic week ahead of us. This is just getting started. Okay, let's get some alpha. Bye-bye.